Welcome to the Tableau video series. This is a series of short videos where we present information of interest to our end users, topics regarding computer forensics industry itself, as well as information about Tableau's products. Hi, I'm Robert Bacek, the president and founder of Tableau, and in our video segment today, we're going to talk about installing and using the Tableau Firmware Update. So the first step when you want to use the Tableau Firmware Update is going to the Tableau website and downloading it. When we go to the website, you'll see the main menu items, and one of those is called Support. Under Support, you'll see a link for Tableau Firmware Update. Click on that link, and that brings up a page which describes the Tableau Firmware Update program. There's a couple things I'd like to draw your attention to on that page. One, the first link is for the free download. And again, I want to emphasize, this is a completely free program. The second link is documentation. It's actually a complete PDF that describes the use of the program. And then the third link is the revision history. And this is perhaps one of the most interesting ones because every time we issue a new firmware update for one of our products, we provide a detailed history under this link, behind this link, that lets you see what we actually changed. So going back now to the actual product page, I'm going to select the download. We'll click Free Download, and it's going to bring you to a screen now where it says you must be logged in to download the Tableau Firmware Update. You have a very high standard that you're held to because you're processing evidence that's going to be used in a court of law. We want to make sure that if there's a problem with one of our products, that we're able to get a hold of you and let you know. So when we click the free download link for the Tableau Firmware Update, we're brought to a screen that asks us to log in. Click the login button, and it says, "Welcome, Robert. You are now logged in." I'm going to return to the download, and automatically the web browser pops up with a screen asking me to save the installer program for the Tableau Firmware Update. And it'll take it about 10 or 15 seconds to download. To use the Tableau Firmware Update, you have to be using a Windows system. We support Windows XP and later versions, and periodically we do even have to update the Tableau Firmware Update program itself as new versions of Windows are released. The other thing that's really important is you have to have FireWire on the system, on that Windows system, so you can do the firmware update. Now, the download is finished. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the desktop here. I see the installer image for the Tableau Firmware Update program, and I'm going to run it. It's point and click. There's nothing you need to enter other than click next a couple of times. Program is installed. It'll be done here in another half a dozen seconds, and we can run the program. So now I'm going to walk you through the updating of the firmware on a Tableau T35ES. This is our flagship eSATA forensic bridge. So it's already plugged into the computer. I'm going to turn it on, and you'll see that the Tableau Firmware Update automatically identifies this as a Model T35ES. It's highlighted in yellow, indicating that a firmware update is available. The checkbox over here to the left is checked, indicating that this product will be updated when I click the Update button. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click the Update button, and we see a warning dialog. The dialog here is telling us don't interrupt the firmware update process for any reason. That's a very important thing to remember. I'm going to click OK. As you can see, it only takes a few seconds to do a full update of the firmware. Almost done. Now the Tableau product is rebooting, and the firmware update is complete and successful. So a few key points to remember when installing and using the Tableau Firmware Update. Install the Tableau Firmware Update on a Windows computer, Windows XP or later, that has FireWire. You can only use FireWire to update the firmware in a Tableau product. The next thing to remember is that there is only one Tableau Firmware Update. It automatically identifies the products you have and automatically applies the correct version of firmware. And lastly, and we've said this before, firmware updates are free.